Welcome back. You're watching Gravitas. H-1B visas are back in the headlines. America has called Indian IT giants TCS, Infosys and Cognizant cheats. They've been accused of flooding the system with visa applications and cornering the lion's share of those visas. Indian IT firms and the government have refuted these allegations. Here's a report on how the lottery system really works and what such charges mean for Indian IT bigwigs. From mere rhetoric during the US presidential race to serious allegations of misuse by the US government, Indian IT firms have been at the receiving end of a sustained campaign to keep American jobs at home. Indian economy's poster boys, the big three from IT, Infosys, TCS and Cognizant, are being called cheats by US administrators for allegedly misusing the H-1B visa lottery system and paying less than the American standard. A Trump administration official said that a small number of outsourcing firms often flood the system with applications, upping their chances of success in the lottery draw. He added that the H-1B visas are awarded through random lottery, with about 80% of the workers being paid less than the median wage in their fields. Though Indian IT firms have denied these charges, calling them baseless, the government that defended them in the past has decided to steer clear of the controversy this time.
हर एक फर्म्स के उनके H-1B वीसा इशू के ऊपर नहीं, हम H-1B वीसा पॉलिसी और उनके जो स्टेटेड पॉलिसी के तहत कमिटमेंट उसके ऊपर चर्चा कर रहे हैं. बट ऐसे हर एक इंस्टीट्यूशन और हर एक फर्म के खिलाफ जो है उसके ऊपर चर्चा कुछ नहीं हो रही.
The United States gives about 85,000 H-1B temporary visas to high-skilled foreign employees every year, out of which 65,000 get hired from abroad and 20,000 from those enrolled in American colleges. The US market accounts for about 60% of the revenue of the Indian IT industry. India's Finance Minister Arun Jaitley discussed these issues with his US counterpart, but IT firms remain worried on how far Delhi can persuade Washington to accommodate on one of Trump's biggest election promises. Bureau Report, WION. And joining us, Michael Kugelman of the Woodrow Wilson Center continues to be with us. Shiv Shankar Mukherjee, former diplomat, with me in the studio. Naveen Chopra, he heads a consultancy on working and studying abroad. And we'll be joined by Bala Subramaniam, former CFO of Infosys. Good evening to everyone. To you, sir, first. Do Indian IT companies cheat?
I don't think so at all. I mean, if it's a lottery system, I mean, look, let's look at it in a very common sense kind of way. This is a system run by Americans. They can run it any way they like. So if they have a suspicion that somebody is cheating, it's very easy for them to locate the process and stop it. You know, I mean, we've had instances of huge companies like Volkswagen cheating on their emission of cars and so on and so forth, and they were nailed. Now, the fact is, it's a random lottery system. It's like a normal lottery where instead of buying one ticket, you buy 50 tickets or 60 tickets to increase your chances. Now, if it is permissible within the rules that govern this issuance of H-1B visas, then the Indian companies are doing nothing wrong. What they are doing is trying to increase their chances of business, which every business in the world is entitled to do. It's not a sharp practice. If, for instance, the US now feels, I think it's a reaction. I think reasons are being dredged up to support this tightening of visa rules. This is one of them. It's not very convincing, but I'm sure we'll hear more of it.
Michael Kugelman, if there are lapses, if there is wrongdoing, the American administration can initiate legal proceedings. Why name and shame without any proof?
Well, I think the U.S. government is clearly trying to build a narrative here that it's been trying to build ever since it took office some months ago. And that's to make an argument that foreign companies are preventing Americans from getting jobs that they deserve. And this is a very powerful narrative in this country and in this town here in Washington. There really is a fair amount of bipartisan support to rein in this H-1B visa program. It's not just the Trump administration. It's not just Republicans. You've got a lot of top Democrats on Capitol Hill who have been saying it's time to rein it in. And public opinion is looking in that direction as well. There was a poll released by the Washington Post over the weekend here, and it essentially depicted Trump as being in a pretty bad spot, record low approval ratings and so forth. But one thing he's done, one area where he's been doing things that the U.S. public seems to really support him, is in this idea of pushing back against foreign companies for trying to take away jobs from Americans, and also this notion of trying to get American companies to do more to keep jobs in the United States. So I think that, it's true. I doubt that Indian companies are cheating, but I think that what the U.S. government is trying to do here, what the Trump administration is trying to do, is to come up with pretexts and justifications to make it seem even more necessary for the U.S. to crack down on these types of visa programs like the H-1B one.
Naveen Chopra, facts are one thing, perception is another. Are Indian companies believed to be circumventing legal requirements? And also, how just help our viewers understand, how does this lottery system work? And why do Indian companies get more?
No, look, I mean, there's absolutely no doubt about the fact that Indian companies are playing by the rules that have been set by the Americans. As a matter of fact, the whole world is playing by the rules that the Americans have set. They are the ones who screamed about free enterprise from the rooftops. They are the ones who talked about cost efficiencies and may the best man person win. They are the ones who have experienced either shortages within their own education system in various fields, including in the information technology or high-tech area. And they have filled those gaps for two reasons. Either there are reasons of skill shortages, or it's cost efficiencies. So it's American corporates who have shifted their manufacturing bases and their production and service bases, overseas to make more money. Now the whole story has caught up with them, and it's pure politics. There's nothing more to it. I mean, so they switched the.
Right. Balasubramaniam, cheating is a very serious allegation. How do you react to this? Does Infosys really cheat or circumvent some rules to get more visas?
No, I think it's more a political statement rather than understanding what the economic reality is. The economic reality is there is a shortage of highly skilled workforce for the US economy. If you talk to any large corporate in the US, they still complain that they're not able to hire highly qualified technology talent for their companies. And only countries like India has built a large ecosystem for highly skilled software professionals in the world. So I think when you have a lot of demand, when artificially keep the H1 limit as 65,000 and have a lottery system, naturally some companies will apply more. You can't call it cheating. I think they follow all the rules and regulations in the US. The basic thing is there is a shortage of talent, and only countries like India has got the ecosystem to fill that shortage. So that is the reality. This is all political statement. I think we should ignore.
Right. Mr. Mukherjee, we have a statement from NASSCOM saying that we would like to clarify on Indian companies getting the lion's share of H-1B visas, and highlight that in 2014-15, only 6 of the top 20 H-1B recipients were Indian companies. TCS and Infosys accounted for only 8.8% of the total H-1B visas. Having said that, we know Finance Minister Jaitley took up the matter with his American counterpart.
Right.
But Nirmala Sitharaman today refused to comment. How do you expect the Indian government to take up this matter, take this forward?
Well, first of all, let me say that, the panelists who spoke immediately after me, I agree with them wholeheartedly. I mean, I think your viewers have a sense now, A, that this is a purely political narrative being built up to justify, various actions which are protectionist, which are, which are against everything that America has been propagating so far. There's an element of hypocrisy in it, but it is pure politics and it is working. So I think when you're talking of the Indian government, what should it do and what should be our reaction, it's not going to be easy, because since this is a political, policy, it's underpinned by political reasoning. The fact is that no matter what statistics are pointed out by NASSCOM, by facts on the ground, such as the fact that Billions and billions of dollars are paid in taxes by these professionals. The fact that it is American companies who are very thirsty for these professionals to get their bottom line in order, they are the ones, including Google, including many companies in Silicon Valley, including Microsoft and so on, are pleading with their own government to not tighten the regulations. In spite of that, the fact is that jobs, exactly as our American panelist pointed out, exactly as he pointed out, jobs are now the single most important political football in almost every country in the West. And it is jobs that are being used and misused to frame policies with regard to terrorism, with the subtext of terrorism and immigration and so on and so forth. Now, the fact is that no matter how much India tries to stop this becoming too tight, which will certainly have its impact on the Indian IT exports, 60% or 70% of which goes to America, the thinking in Washington is going to be, what gets me more votes? And this whole narrative, this whole hype about jobs are being outsourced to foreigners. You know, there used to be a talk for many years, there's been this phrase that our jobs are being Bangalored. This gets you more votes than agreeing with cold, hard, factual statistics that this is actually helping the American economy. That doesn't wash in politics.
Right.
So this is not going to be easy. We will have to use every kind of leverage that we have, including, you know, using American companies that do a lot of business with India to lobby for us in Congress. We've done that in the past on other issues. We'll have to do that. We'll have to use every kind of, we'll have to use lobbyists in Washington. It is a city where lobbyists work and they deliver results sometimes. So, as I said, it's not going to be easy, because the fact that the H-1B visa regime is going to be tightened is a given. This is politically something that they like. They think it's going to get them popularity, and that negative voices, such as they are not loud enough and effective enough for them to change that policy.
Mr. Chopra, you want to make a point?
Slightly at a tangent, that this might even be an opportunity for Indian companies to go up the value chain. It's been often observed that Indian IT is pitching at the lower end or the mid level of the IT food chain, and perhaps something like this will bring about higher and major innovation and start to really compete in the top end. That's another fallout that we should be looking for and actively pitching for, quite frankly. It's just a matter of time. This is now, we've entered an era of automation and robotics and artificial intelligence, where software is going to be writing software, is already doing it to some extent. People don't recognize that a lot of the job loss that is happening due to technology and their own companies developing methodologies to reduce the workforce in the processes or that are at play within various business sectors, and that is also true of IT. So I'm not quite sure. I mean, this really is pure politics. It doesn't seem to address the real issues that confront the United States as an economy, and indeed the world in a sense. And what can you say? I mean, this just seems crazy.
Michael Kugelman, very quickly, I want to ask you this. Can American companies actually afford to completely shut down outsourcing? Because they're talking about jobs, but do they have the skilled labor to fill all those jobs?
No, not at all. I think it's unrealistic to think that that could be the case. It's just a reflection of the reality of the U.S. economy at the moment. Politically, it may make sense to say one thing, but as we heard from other panelists here today, the opposite is very oftentimes the case. I would just echo what one of the other panelists said before. It's going to be very difficult for India to try to come in and get the U.S. administration to change its tack when it comes to H-1B visa reform. The U.S.-India relationship is a very good one. I think there's a lot of goodwill in it. There's a lot of momentum for it to be made even better. But I think this is one area where India will simply run up against a lot of problems. I mean, to be quite candid, I think that, when it comes to H-1B visa reform, the train's already left the station. I don't think it could be easily stopped, given how much support, bipartisan support there is to move on that. But then that does bring up what one of your other panelists just said, that there is a silver lining here, that India could look to what it could do at home in terms of ramping up innovation and IT and creating more opportunities at home that would essentially, ways to take advantage of what may seem in the short term to be a troubling situation when you look at all these visas that won't be able to be given out to Indian companies. That's still something to look forward to and to look ahead to.
Right. Thanks very much, Michael Kugelman, Naveen Chopra, Shivshankar Mukherjee. Good to have you on the show. Thank you. And Balasubramaniam Parasuraman also joining us this evening on Gravitas. We're taking a break. Ahead on the show, making sense of the French election. Who is Emmanuel Macron and what will his win, if it is his win, mean for France and the world?